I showed you guys how we designed this beautiful looking portfolio section, our project section, right? Whereby if we hit on this icon, it moves around like that, just like the website we're trying to clone, which is this, right? If we hit on the icon, it moves around. And so how we did that, I think I explained earlier, but let me explain again. We basically imported this icon from their external websites, and how to do that, we do that through CDN links, which obviously stand for Content Delivery Network, right? And after that, we also, which is this icon here, we also placed it inside of an anchor tag, whereby we will pass an href that automatically turns it to a link. So if you click on this icon, it takes us to this given value, right? And we also style that using our CSS by targeting. We didn't just style, we also use our CSS to target the movement, which is the motion. So it's also called animation. So we also do that using CSS instead of using other language such as jQuery, that we could achieve that easily, and Node.js, we could achieve that easily, and so many others that you could use to achieve that same result. But this class is a CSS class, which obviously stands for Cascading Style Sheet. So we achieve that using the anchor href URL file by passing in each individual unique number. So no matter how much I call all of these attributes and elements for you, you still need to push further by going to study them yourself. How to study them? Just practice like this. That's all you need to do. The more you type them, or the more you read or see them, the more your brain begins to understand them. The more it settles with your brain. So you could see we just target the link. So whenever we click on it, we can move to the next place. We don't just move, it also indicates, but we can't see right now. One thing we need to do before we move to the next section, which is this, right? I need to make ours look as beautiful as this. To do that, we need to get rid of some unnecessary elements. I think one of those is this list item. So we can get rid of that dot, because the anchor tag already serves the same purpose. So there was no need for that list item. And as well, we should also go on and change the widget to 10 line height as well to be 10 pixels. So what else? Also change the background color so it looks like this. It's not most, it's going to be this particular color. You are free to give it your own color. So me, I want to give it a darker color. So it looks like this. And change it to the X, not RGB. Let's see what we've done so far. And I want, whenever we hover around it, you should give this color. You can see. So let's say you should give let's say blue color red. Right. So we as well change. We don't need it to be RGB. Let's make it RGB. Alright, let's go back to our website and refresh. Okay, so alright, okay, it's label. We need to change more colors. use this. Before you still giving us, so let me check. I get it. Okay, I think we can find everything you all selected to start 292. Okay, baby, where are you? Yes. Let's also change it here. 255. I'm going to change it. Okay, first of all, we need to move around. Okay, right. You can see difference, but I want it to be and opacity. So it's right. So we just copy paste it here. In this case, we change it to 0.5. Right. So let's go back. Alright. So we should also change that. It's to be a dark color. Let's give it that face, so we give it like a color, as well as changing this to a dark color. We do the same thing. Copy and paste. Let's repeat it again to get final. The fourth one, final bullet. And always end with your semicolon. Always end with your semicolon. Alright, so my mom is wow. I think I need to replace this soon. Okay, so in gas is very light, is a bit lighter than ours. So it's fine, it's totally fine. We could give it whatsoever color you want to give it. So for me, I'll stop here because we still have a long way to go. Right, so you can see it. You don't just navigate; it also indicates the current section we are at. So that's the beauty of this project section. We're not just able to navigate, we are also able to target our anchor tag correctly to navigate to the specific one we gave it to. Not just that, as well as indicates the current project we are in. Alright, so the next one is our experiences and education. So we need to draw a tree like this. Remember from 2019, we place all our information inside of it. So to do that, if we go to if you see mine, I already have mine written here because of it's already placed in mine. It's already placed in my HTML code. So I'll put here videos. Place your information. So put here. You can put whatsoever you want. But let me give it King's College. So very useful as well. Let's make all this with King's College. I think in 2012 I was still in King's College. It's 10 hours. Still Lagos as well. So these are all demo contents. I will delete them and place them the way you want to place it. So let's get this. Okay, so all these are not necessary. You can place your own information the same way you want it to be. Okay, I will change the so there's some few changes I made. It's totally fine. Okay, now in this tutorial we want to build our I think this is the fourth, this is the first, second, okay, and third. We want to build our third section, which we name as more information. So, which is just basically this, which is more information. All right. So we already have our HTML. What we don't have is the CSS, and what we are doing today is CSS. Okay, just scroll down to the bottom and start your journey along with me. So what we should do first, like I always advise, is to start them one after another from the very first selector to the end. So to style them, we can style them in three different ways. We can style them using an element selector div or an ID selector, which is basically just this. We automatically creating an ID selector. But today we are getting them from the class selector. So to start a class selector, it begins with a dot and an open bracket with a close bracket. This is basically what the selector is. And to style it, you will just pass it, give it a property, which could be any property, and the property we're using today is the display. And the next is to give it a value. So what value we want to give it? The value of flex. Alright, so we want everything inside here, here, to be the value of flex. So it's going to be flexing like this. The view, once we save and refresh, you're going to understand what I mean. Let's save and refresh. So you can see the way it marketed itself. Now we have our experiences and we have our education, right? See how beautiful it is, but we've not yet achieved these results, but this is what we want, right? Right. So let's achieve our results by adding more star to it. The next I'm going to do is passing a justify content and make the justify content to be center. And I will also give it an align items to be center. Same thing goes for the align content to be center. So we could center our content at the middle. Alright, so We save. Let's go back and refresh. Okay, nothing is happening yet, which is totally fine. But maybe we should just continue. Our next is the education, and we pass in, and we should give this education widgets. I'm also doing another advanced CSS, so it's totally fine if you don't understand. Just code along. 500 pixel, 95 view widgets. Okay. Okay, I think that should be all for here, and we should go to the next. The next is this education underscore head. It's a class selector. It begins with a dot. Right, and this time we want to give it another advanced CSS called padding inline starts, and we give it 4 rem. Okay, so what's next? This h4 is the next. So we just copy this h4 and call the child. The child, which is an element selector, h4. Yeah, and to style an header or a paragraph, you may style them using using fonts. So we want the font size of this to be 2 rem, and we also want to give an advanced CSS which is called a margin block, because you only know margin and the direction, but margin block is an advanced CSS 0 points. When I mean advanced, it's just a step away from it. That means you just need to study more. And advanced is simply means what I don't know or what is new to me. So you could be a master of it in no time. So let's go to the next, which is the content itself, right? This content. So to do that, it's a class selector. It begins with a dot. So let's give this a position of relative and as well as padding of 1 rem, 1 rem, 1 rem, and lastly 4 rem. Okay, next. Okay, I also want to pass, if you look at this, they didn't pass any background color. I mean, whenever you hover, I want whenever you hover on mine, there should be a background color. So for that reason, I have to give my mouse to be a cursor pointer. Like I showed, like if you come here, if you hover here right now, you can see that the cursor changed to pointer. It means there's more to this content, right? So here there's no more, it's just for display only. So we'll give it a cursor of a value called pointer, and transition means whenever it wants to display itself, it should add a transition to transit to this given value. You could give it all and 3 seconds, but I'm trying to target the background color, so I will just pass the background and now pass in my timer, which is 3 seconds, 0.3 seconds, and give it the way I want it to transit. So you can see there are several ways you could give ease in out, ease in, and ease itself. So if there are different. There are several ways. So for today, let's go with this and end my semicolon. All right. So save now. We go back to our website. We refresh. Okay, you can see that now whenever we hover, it changes to to a pointer, and there is more information here. So that's not it. That's not it. That's not all to say. Well, let me change this to National University, National Computer Science. National Coding University. All right, so I mean that was just extra. So what's next for us to do? Save this. I want whenever we hover, right? Okay, as well as whenever we hover, I want it to be pointer, which we did, and as well as adding a background to it. So let's go back to our CSS. The next one we want to target is after the content. It's this H5 where I change it to code people. So, all right, we just copy the content and we paste and call the element selector H5. Open your brackets and close the brackets so you can pass all your information. So the first thing I want to do here is to give it a color, and this time I want to give it an RGB, so we can also pass it an opacity. So 0, 0, 0, 0, black is 0.9. This is spacing, doesn't really matter. Let's just make our code neatly average. As next, we should pass it a font size, and it should be 1 rep. And afterwards, we should give it a margin left. Should be 40 pixels. Okay. So what we are just trying to do is to target this H5 beneath this and the parent, which is this class of education underscore content. So if we go back and refresh, you can see that they are taking effects, which is nice. Looking already looking very nice. And we're not yet done. So let's just proceed further. Our next should be the P tag, which is it. We are going to come back to it. This span will serve as our date, where we save in our date like this. So let's just jump it for once and come back. Let's just jump it for now and come back. So as we target the P, so change our color to be RGB 0, space 0.6. Right. So just simply copy this and paste here. Right. So we save, we go back, refresh. All right. Now you can see how the rest of the content separate itself from the span that carries our year value, so which is fine. All right, so let's see. So I think it's now time for us to style the span. All right, so go back here. In the span, we pass it a class of year, so we can uniquely identify this year, the span. So whichever whatsoever span that contains this class here, you can see how they align themselves because they know themselves. So whatsoever class that has this span will also take effect. So you can see another way to style your CSS all at once by giving them the same class, by repeating the same class. So it automatically takes the class, and so it automatically takes the class you gave it to your CSS, all of it. So what we should just do is to call the parents, and next is to call the class, which is here. So to make sure you are doing the right thing as a beginner, just copy and paste. Since it's a class selector, do not forget to start with the period. Open your bracket and close your bracket. So what I want to do for this, I want to make it a position of absolute, and as well as give passing another advanced CSS called content. Yeah. So well, let me finish first. I'll explain that to you. Let's give it a width of 75 pixel and aspect ratio of 1. So we give them display text and justify content. Center. Align items. Center. Same for align content. I will make it center. Alright. So we should also pass the font, give it a font size because there is a number inside of it, and there's an integer. Integer is number in PHP or JavaScript. So that's fine. It's not supposed to be mentioned here. Let's give it a color white, and we also give it a border radius. So it's going to circle around like this. Going to circle around. So we've targeted this inner by giving it a font size, which is this. So what you're going to see right now, I'm going to radius 50%. Let's also pass the background color. You could give it any background color of your choice, or you could inspect the elements to you could go to a website and inspect their element to know their given background color. So I want to give mine to be B3 into 3 places and end with my semicolon. So next I want to do is to pass a box shadow. It's not necessary, but I just give it insert 0, 0, 0, 1 pixel and white. Let's now give it a border of 1 pixel solid. And same color. Let's copy this and paste it. Okay, now, alright, let's save. Take a look. Okay, so we are almost there. Let's add some more to this. Give the left one red. Let's add some more. And top 0.74. Okay, now it's looking better. Let's see this. This comes. Okay, so inspect my elements. This. Let's see and do some engineering. Okay, 1.74. Like this. Alright. So for the font size is not taking place. Okay, I left to this line. Alright, so to do that, let's keep styling. What's next? Okay, so let's to get that, and let's style the span itself. We style the class, right? So let's style the span itself. Let's give it a color today, white, and we'll give it a font size to 16 pixel. Font weight, bold, and display of block. Line height 75 pixels. Right, so why I could get this accurately, because one, I have done the project before, obviously coming to teach here. So don't be surprised if you're not be able to pick all of it at once. You're not supposed to. I mean, you're not prone to pick all of them at once. It's of you to study them, to understand, to practice. So now let's say I also want, whenever I still shouldn't just indicate, you should also give me a background color. To do that is we use the over effects, the CSS over effect. Alright, so the over effect is nothing but a residual selector that is just this. Alright, let's give it a background color. Narrow GBA, this time 230, 230, 230, and opacity of 0.48. Right, let's also give it a border radius. Oops. Border radius of 0.25 rem and our semicolon. Okay, let's save and go back, refresh, and you can see whenever we hover, it gives us a background color like this to identify that this is where we are reading, this is where, just to identify that you go also have more reason why you want to give a background color whenever you hover. For mine is just to identify. You can see how beautiful it is, how beautiful it identified. The hover effects could affect our website. So that's it for the override phase. Let's move further. The next is, okay, I think we're done styling all of this, but something is left, which is this line, right? Okay, to get that, we'll still need to call on hope on our dude, which is the residual selector. So you can see how powerful and how important a residual selector could be while learning CSS, because it helps us target some area where we cannot get without the use of a residual selector. So to do that, this is also an advanced CSS, but normally to target a before, I mean, all I'm trying to say, we are trying to target it using the before and after residual effect, and we could just do that by writing before, but in this case, something like this, this is just what I mean by before and after residual selector. So obviously, you know, the after will be like this after, right? So this is to get a content before and to get the content after, right? I've also taught that in our previous tutorial for when we are dealing with our header section. So I wouldn't waste more of our time here. Let's just quickly move further to that. But in this case, I'm going to do it with an advanced CSS code now, because we're trying to draw a tree whereby if each of those contents should have to grow like a tree. Okay, maybe I may not be best to explain it, but just follow along. Alright, and now we call in our before. Alright, so since we application underscore content not last charge before, not last charge before. Right. So what I'm simply doing is this. Alright, if it's not the last child, and I want you to place this arrow before this arrow we're going to draw, this line we're going to draw before before any of the context. So before any of the circle, before this circle is this line. So I want it to draw the line, and we should not take effect after. So to get the after, if we have done it after, you know, there will be an additional line here because it's coming after. So now we are targeting the before, so we should get this line, grow this line before the circle, right? And so to do that isn't that simple, but we should just set our position to be absolute. Now, if you don't understand this or the other ones, it's still absolutely fine. You have never just come across it before. This is your first time. The next time you're going to come across it, you will be a step ahead of others. All right. And just pay more attention by just going to study. Copy this code and paste on your Google. The Google will tell you a lot about it. All right. So I want to give the background color to be DD or DE into 3 places, or DD. All right, so let's pass our left. This is going to be another advanced CSS for you. Pass with the 4 rem minus 14 pixel. So all I'm basically doing here is sizing our content. So we save now, we go back and refresh. Okay, nothing has taken place yet, which is fine. So, but before then, let's first give it a Z index of 1. Refresh. nothing has appeared yet. Okay, let's finish styling first. Alright, so to give the top 2.74 rem, and this will give it a bottom of -0.74 rem. Right, so we give the bottom z index -1. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So all I was doing with that cap, made this with the left property and giving it a cap, is trying to target the size, this line, and sizing it properly. So no matter how much you explain, you may not still understand. Just go along. So if we go back now, you see that automatically breakpoint is not stretching that long. Alright, I want to touch. I'm about to make it 3. Alright, so what I'm going to do is to like this. To inspect, let's know what's happening. Okay, get the before. Alright, so we place before. Alright, so let's see it. Okay, that's it. You can see that we have successfully achieved the same result by growing a 3 like this. So you could change your own background color, and let's target this 2018. Okay. Okay, this one is better. And change the font. I just simply change the font size inside of this class elements called this. I just change it inside of the year. This class element, the educational underscore content dot year. So I change the to 1 and 1.1. Okay, so go back. So let's also get the color. See that color is nice. So to get this looking font, all you should do is the same way we imported the Montserrat font, you go import the font similar to this, or relatively proportional to how you want your content to be, your website to be. So, but to me, that is okay. I just want to get the background color of this. I think I have, which I have. Change my background color from v3 to, as well as my border. Okay, that's index, code index. Okay, so you can see now we actually achieved the same nice looking. And let's also change the before background color. Just all you need to do is to copy this and go straight to before and paste it right here. See, you save, we refresh. Okay, now you can see this nice looking experience and education 3 we just did using CSS and HTML. So we've successfully achieved the same goal. How they did this, and the difference is the font. So I wouldn't look more into font because I've showed you guys how you can achieve font in several ways, right? So, well, let's see. So all we did in this tutorial and what we've been doing so far is to achieve a website, a nice looking website like this, so that we can make it our own portfolio. And what we did is to break them into sections, like the navigation, the navbar is the first section, this, the header, another section, same goes for all until we get to the footer, right? So far we have successfully achieved our navigation bar, the header, the projects. We can also, whereby we can also click and view more projects, and we achieve this animation using CSS only. The last one we have done so far is our experience tree as well as our educational background, whereby we achieve it using HTML plus CSS only without the help of any external other extra programming language. So I will stop here for today. All I can say next is thank you so much for joining this lecture. And in the next tutorial, we are diving straight to our footer, pre-footer section, which is this map and this information, our social icon, as well as the form and the right hand corner. So that's it. After that, we will then conclude it with our footer, so we can successfully have our a portfolio as beautiful as this. Alright, so there's nothing more to do here aside from reviewing our code and doing some debugging. If there's anything we need to fix, we should just fix it. So another thing we learned today is so far is using or resizing our image by this special effect called object fits and placing them to whatever proportion you want to place them by, if you want to size an image to be played, if you notice whenever you add an image, see that shrinks. Even if you resize with the widget, it either shrinks or expands. So after adding our widgets, we want our image to look the same way. So it's just adding this special CSS effect called objects dash fits and passing your value. You can see there are several values you can find here: contain, cover, center, fits. Hopefully more maybe in the next update for CSS. So far this is what they have, and in most cases you should do center. To center, to place the image at the center of whatsoever widget, and it should also move relatively proportional to the given widget, right? Or to your given widget. So if I say the given widget, it's like maybe to the widget we don't know about, your given widget. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for joining this lecture once again. I'll see you guys right in the next tutorial where we'll achieve these results. Alright.